Hello, I'm Nick Redfern here. I'm looking to go through this idea of warm calling. So just to spin on cold calling, but the key thing about when we call someone up or we do a cold call, the people aren't necessarily expecting it. But one of the biggest issues that you have is that the person calling up doesn't know anything about the individual that they are trying to entice or attract into a business, and it creates a very impersonal position. And if you would consider what you're trying to do when you're trying to get a meeting, is you're trying to move someone to make a big career decision. And the fact of the matter is well, if I don't know anything about you and about the individual, how can I really understand or talk to you about that potential career decision? What effort have I gone into to try and headhunt you? So the idea of this session is to come up with ways and strategies in which we can understand a lot more about the individuals that we're looking to attract into the business, so that they understand that we have actually gone to quite a lot of work to try and identify them, target them, headhunt them, um, and identify them as being the top class candidates that we want to bring into our business. Because I think when you approach people, you understand a little bit more about them, they're going to be more open to having a conversation. The reality is that most people cold calling or calling people up are just following a numbers game. They are just calling people up, don't know anything about them, what their issues might be, and as a result, they will experience a lot more of negative feedback in relation to that. So it's the idea of trying to warm the position when we actually do ultimately make contact with that individual. There are also issues that we may have as individuals, such as fear and avoidance. So obviously, the first thing is knowing your target. Who do you want to target? How does that individual behave? But also issues of fear and avoidance. And most people that are looking to call people up, we do pretty much anything to not do that. The reasons why is we often get rejection. Obviously, the less rejection we get, the less fear we will have, the less avoidance of making those contacts and calls. The other side of it is by putting particular strategies in place, we can improve our conversion rates, and as a result, that success breeds success. And as a result of that, we're more confident in making those calls, closing more calls down, and getting a better result. So it is about knowing your target. Knowing your target will reduce down the amount of fear and avoidance tactics that people might take in making those calls, getting down and understanding people's individual needs. And as well, how can we do that using a tool along the lines of LinkedIn? Um, First thing that we're looking to do here is trying to identify sort of how the best people look. Um, you know, most of the best candidates that we are looking to attract into the business will probably sit to the left of this graph here. Not always the case. It can be, they can look to the right for being the very active zone. People may be looking for a job move. But the reality is that most successful people get job moves through referrals. They get them through, so a director moves from one company to another, and then entices their good employees across, brings them with them in relation to that. They do well in their job at their current business and therefore are rewarded with promotions within their existing organisation. Most really good people don't tend to get recruited by phone calls, by a cold call, or maybe don't like to be recruited necessarily in that way. So what we need to try and do as much as possible is when we are calling, because that is a strategy that we do have in the business that we're developing, that we try and make that call appear as much as possible along the lines of a referral process, a recommendation process, to make them feel that they are being, targeted in a, headhunted way. That we've done that little bit of work. If you call someone up who sits in the super passive zone, who in effect would need an extraordinary career move to move, and you say, I've got a job opportunity, they're just going to say they're not interested. When those people are looking for are significant career moves that are better than where they are right better than where they are right now. They normally engage in those ways through a networking process. We can try and imitate that networking process through some of the strategies that I'm going to talk about shortly. It's also really important as well to consider actually what these people are looking for in these different zones. So an example of someone who might be super passive is someone that's moved jobs in the past year. They're bedding in, they're getting themselves going. That individual is going to be really, really hard to move because they're still in a growth phase within that particular job. Explorers are people who would want a better job, a better career move, and this could be a sweet spot if we do things correctly. But again, they're still seeing some growth prospects within the business that they're in. Tiptoers are the sort of people that are potentially, going online, looking about, that take a better job. And then those that are very active more would potentially be happy to take a more lateral move. So they may not necessarily take a progression up. They may take a more lateral move in relation to what they're doing because they're unhappy where they are and they just want to move to a different company. But also in our game as well, what you tend to find is in that particular area, when they're very active, they also have a lot of people talking to them. So they'll be talking to many of the competitors, which then makes your job harder because there's a lot of white noise going on in that particular area. So the thing is, it's really important to understand what these people want to do and where they want to go. And the idea of the super passive and explorers is they'll only move if you can demonstrate to them that you're going to put them in a far better position. And the only way that you could ever do that is also by understanding a little bit more about them than you might than a typical cold caller would. So it's really important to try and differentiate away and show that to these people. Knowing your target. In relation to this, this is an individual someone that we picked up on LinkedIn called Geraldine. What I can see here, she's written quite a lot of information about herself on LinkedIn, which is great. I've not really differentiated what I know about Geraldine at this particular point because, well, Geraldine, anyone's available to see what she's put on LinkedIn. So most recruiters and most people that would potentially find Geraldine and identify her would do that. Would find her on LinkedIn and read the same information. So there's no greater rapport that I could build with Geraldine at this point, just using LinkedIn because it is such a common tool to use. So I need to try and find a little bit more. The other thing that I want to try and do is try and get a telephone number as well, so I can potentially call her up. I could look in contact info. The likelihood is unless she's actually actively looking in the market, she probably will not have contact details within there. But quite often these people do have other websites and other areas in which you can gain access to. And what we can see here is that Geraldine has a normal landline and also has a mobile number. So I can make contact with her and call her up. But based on the information that I've read and seen so far, again, what it says on a website is quite similar to what it says on LinkedIn. So again, I'm probably not differentiating myself too much, but I do have her mobile number. So I definitely know I can get in contact fairly easily with her. So how do I try and differentiate from other recruiters in the market, and how can I move away from that feeling of a cold call and move on to the idea of a warm call? And the idea here is if I went back into my LinkedIn connections and looked through, what I can see is that actually along this line here, there's actually a number of people that I'm connected to, that she's also connected to. Most of these are actually recruiters. However, the gentleman here on the right actually happens to be an independent financial advisor that actually is one of our partners. So Duncan works for True Potential. I know Duncan. He's a really nice. He's a good guy. So the first thing that I want to do is give Duncan a call because I want to find out a little bit more about Geraldine. I also want to try and identify she's for us. At this minute in time, I don't know if Geraldine has the right qualities that we would want for our business. Okay, so at the minute my targeting is pretty broad, and what I wanted to find out of Duncan is would she be a good fit for our business. What I do is I pick up the phone to Duncan. Hi Duncan, how's things going? We talk about the rugby, we talk about the kids, the family, all the rest of it, and then I ask him, look, we're looking to grow the business. Can you tell me a little bit more about Geraldine helping? Do you think she'd be a good addition to our business? Actually, as it turns out, Duncan knows Geraldine really, really well. Look, Nick, Geraldine's great. Worked with her for years. She used to provide me with business and leads into what I was doing when I was at Barclays. We keep in regular contact. She's a great individual. Yeah, she'd be a superb asset. So he's now qualified Geraldine as being a really good individual for our business and someone that we want to target. We've got a number, so we can get hold of her. I've got Duncan as a name, so someone that knows her. So we've validated a number of things for us to then get on and give her a shout. So what I'll do is I'll call up Geraldine. Hi Geraldine, my name's Nick Redfern. I've done some work into your background, and I've been recommended to speak to you by Duncan Pilgrim, who's one of our wealth partners. Okay, he spoke really, really well of you. Hence, I wanted to talk to you. Look, we've got a number of really exciting opportunities and roles within our business, of which a couple I think would be absolutely great for you that I'd really want to talk to you about. I just want to ask you the question, and this is the idea of the yes question. Okay, which is, would you be open to explore a situation if it was clearly superior to what you were doing today? Now, statistically, 85% of people who were referenced online through LinkedIn would say yes to this particular question. So people that were in the super passive, in the explorer zone, would potentially, in the passive zone, would potentially say yes to this sort of question, because most people, hopefully, if you've had a reference of someone that we can qualify, that says we think you'd be a really, really good fit, you know what I'm saying to me is, look, if I could demonstrate that I can put you in a better position, would you at least be open to explore have an exploratory conversation in relation to that? And therefore, if yes, they may ask us, look, can you tell me a little bit about the business and the role? We can sort of elaborate a little bit more. But the key thing that we're trying to do then at that point is try and close that down and get a meeting with the individual. And I'd try not to talk too much specifically about the job, but what I would try and do in selling the role is I would try and talk about how successful we are as a business, how different we are, how successful we are, some of the things that we may do differently in the market, our goals-based process, the lifestyle financial planning, our technology background in relation to what we do. Talk about things that may be interested in. The other thing that I might try and do as well is ask that individual about their individual goals as well. So what is it that you're looking for, so that I can get a little bit of a flavour, and that'll help me align some of the benefits of what we have to what they're looking for as well. So asking them, before I go into too much detail about the role and what we do, can you just tell me a little bit about what it is that you're doing right now? What do you like? And then we can sort of get into a much broader conversation, and hopefully we can really start to build that rapport and get them to agree to have a meeting with us. So again, as I say here, can ask you quickly about your goals. There is, give me some artistic license on this one. I often ask, look, imagine you're sitting in your back garden in 3 years' time with a glass of wine in hand, nice sunny day. Tell me, family-wise, professionally, financially, what would at that point you sit back would make you feel really satisfied? What would make you think, yeah, I've made some good decisions, things have gone in the right direction? What would those things be financially, family-wise? And typically what people are saying, well, look, I want a better work-life balance. I maybe want to earn some more money. And we have things that can do those sorts of things. Our technology does save people huge amounts of time in comparison to what they're doing in their existing organizations. Financially, we do have the best contracts in the market to be able to, we have extremely aggressive remuneration in relation to the employed contract, and extremely aggressive remuneration in regards to self-employed. So we can actually do these sort of things for them, but obviously they've got to have that exploratory meeting in relation to that. But hopefully, in trying to understand about them and their goals, what they're feeling is that our approach is more consultative, okay, and that we're trying to fit them, and that whatever we do, the career that we give them and what we will provide them will be aligned with what they're looking to achieve themselves, which ultimately is, will obviously make them happier in the long run, which is what this is all about. Obviously, the key thing is look, get the meeting close, get the times in the diary, and look, finish up. Look, I'm really confident we can help you with what you want, with your goals. Look, I'm really excited about meeting up next week and show you how to do that. And then get the meeting booked in, closed off, and ready to go from there. Quite often, customers will come up with objections. Typically, objections that they have, the reality is that every single objection that someone would come up with potentially is an irrational objection. The fact of the matter is they just want to get you off the phone. They're not really interested in talking to you right now. The reason why I say it's irrational is because they don't actually know what we can potentially provide at that point. So they're making a decision saying, look, I'm not open to information, I'm closed to information. And so there are certain techniques that we can use to try and get around those particular positions. And one of those ways is to actually try and agree with people in what they say, but use that as a qualification criteria for why they should talk to you. So I'll give you an example. You phone up someone and say, look, I'm calling from True Potential. Would you like to explore the opportunities, if it's better than what you have today? And then just come back and say, look, I'm not interested in moving right now. The fact of the matter is, they've not actually listened. If I can demonstrate it's better, would you at least consider having a conversation about it? They've not really thought about that. They've just said, look, I'm too busy. I'm not interested in having this conversation. I'm not interested in moving right now. And the response to that is, look, I appreciate that. And to be honest, the best people normally aren't interested, okay, because they're busy. Okay, they're really busy people, and they're successful where they are. However, look, I've done some research into your background, the reference from Duncan, people like this. Look, I can see that you thrive within our organisation. You'd be a great fit for us, but I think we'd be a great fit for you, and we'd give you a fantastic career. Obviously, the caveat in all this is that, look, we'd only want to bring you on if we can put you in a better position. It was in alignment within your personal goals. I think you can probably identify that in an exploratory meeting with us fairly quickly. Is it not at least worth having that conversation to identify that position for you? Because the fact of the matter is you do not know what you don't know. Other things, people saying, look, I'm busy right now, call me back later. When you call them back later, they'll be busy again, or they've got your number now, so they'll just not answer it. So you can't let that opportunity go. Look, I appreciate that. And to be honest, the best people are normally busy. They're always busy. The best people are always busy. They're always seeing customers, and they're always busy doing things. Okay, and to be fair, that's a qualification criteria. The fact that you've told me you're busy actually qualifies you as the person I need to be talking to, because I only want to talk to busy people. Okay, but however, I understand that you need to explore and identify whether or not we'd be right in line with your goals. Look, that's what I'm advocating for you. That's what I'm advocating. And again, the other ones, what's the remuneration? We try and keep away from the idea of talking about the money. The reality is that the likelihood of someone making a move based on money alone will not be the reason why they make the move. They'll make the move because they think that we can offer them a better career, better job, better work-life balance, whatever all those goals are. The remuneration is just one particular aspect in relation to that. So one of the things that we need to say is, look, aside from the fact that our remuneration is really aggressive, aside from the fact that, look, what you get paid, we understand is really important. But wouldn't you agree if the role that I offer you didn't meet with your personal goals? It wouldn't matter what money I offered. I could offer a whole load of money. You probably wouldn't move if I didn't give you a job that you wanted to work in and didn't want to like. Now, I think I've got a fantastic career here for you that you'll like. If you just put aside the money and work on the basis that I won't contact you unless that money was better, which it will be, can we just focus on actually what you want as a career, what your goals are, and give us an opportunity to sit down, identify that, and talk to you about it. Because we all know we actually do have the best contract in the market, but the thing that gets them interested is if we can give them something really interesting, really exciting, that's going to be a career move for them. I'm happy where I am. And to be honest, it's the same strategy again. That's great. To be honest, I only want to be talking to happy people, as it means that typically they're really successful at what they're doing. Okay, I can see that you're going to thrive in our organisation. Okay, so we're just telling people the truth, that the happy, successful, well-paid individuals are the ones we want to attract. They'll be the busiest people, the ones that are potentially going to have least time for you. Those are the ones that you need to say, actually, by virtue of the fact that you've made this objection, you've actually qualified yourself as exactly the sort of person that I want to talk to. But the thing that I want to do is I want to understand about you, what your goals are, and see whether or not the career that I have is aligned in with those personal goals. I think it is. I think we've got an absolutely fantastic career for you. We do a lot of research in the market. We understand we've got a great career for you here. Is it not just worth a few minutes of your time just to explore that? Okay, because that's what it takes for people to make those moves and make those changes. Okay, well look, I hope that's been helpful in relation to understanding kind of the approach on cold calling. Also trying to find out as much information about people as we possibly can before we make those cold calls, and I hope it leads to much success. Thank you.